welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Manatee Fantasy Football. We're going to be talking about some propositions today because we like seeing new things, keeping people engaged. So let's get into it. For the first prop, we're going to be talking about keeping kickers. You can either say, A, I would like to keep kickers, or B, I don't want to keep kickers. And we're just going to be as non-biased as possible, showing the pros and cons. If you do want to talk more about this, go to Sleeper, go to Facebook, text your friends, do whatever you want. I really don't care. That's fine. So prop A, we're talking about keeping kickers. The pros of keeping kickers. It would change our overall scoring average if we took them away, and we want to keep that potentially. We've always had them, and I don't really see any reason we should get rid of them. The NFL scores kickers, so should fantasy. I've definitely heard that debate before. It definitely creates a lot more wild ways to win. Just when Justin and I go into those conversations saying, hey, but hear me out, onside kick, then they kick it for 3, then they go to overtime, 50-yarder, then they kick it, they miss it, down by a point, then you lose. That's always fun. The cons, we could, get rid of kickers. So one kicker was drafted last year that actually stayed on his, well, not last year, this year, that stayed on his team. That was Tucker and Bailey. Everyone else dropped their kicker at one point, and it was kind of a blown position, and it's kind of been like that for a while. There's really no disparity in the position. If you look at the number 1 kicker versus the number 20 kicker, it's a 3-point disparity. The second closest position like that in fantasy is defenses. But I feel like defenses are a little bit more predictive. Speaking of predictive, within certain daily fantasy websites, they don't allow kickers because of how unpredictable this position is. So I know these are some debates. Talk about it with your friends on which you think that should happen. We should keep kickers or we shouldn't keep kickers. Something to kind of alleviate that and kind of a good transition is prop B. Justin?
Yeah, so Proposition B would allow wide receivers and tight ends to get a point per reception and would keep running backs at the half point per reception. Obviously, voting yes for that or no. Some of the pros of changing this would put wide receivers and running backs on the same priority level. So right now, obviously, there are more wide receivers that are available throughout the league, less running backs. So changing those can kind of even out the positions. If we approve of no kickers, this would be a way to make up for overall score. So if you are somebody that has a kicker that's averaging at least 10 points a game, that can change from the number of wide receivers you have and how many points per reception. So we won't be scoring less. Tight ends definitely have been a struggle bus in the point department. This is something that will help, especially if you have a guy that's out there that might only get 37 yards per game, but if he's catching 7 balls every single game, that tight end is going to be a lot more valuable. It also makes the draft more strategic in comparison to the 16 running backs in the first couple of rounds. So obviously, we see that running backs go early and often, especially in the first round. And it's just because there's not a lot of good ones available or trustworthy running backs available after the start of the draft. So this could make guys like, Devontae Adams and DK Metcalf and some other wide receivers. You might have to start thinking about those guys earlier on in the first round. And then drafting a top player as a wide receiver should be equally rewarded as a running back. Running back right now, the top 4, 5, 6, depending on how you look at it, what your strategy is, are probably all going to go to those. And wide receivers should have that same kind of value. The cons, though, would be it messes with the point history, similar to when we added half-point PR. So obviously, records, top scoring records for points from year to year will increase. Overall weekly, top scores will increase as well. Another con would be points are already confusing enough. So, you're going to have positions that would, as a running back, that would be half point PR, but then wide receivers and tight ends that are full PPR. So just trying to figure out how many points you think a player would score might be more confusing. And then wide receivers and tight ends should be on the same point system as running backs. That's another con. like it kind of just goes back to the previous one of things that might be too confusing, and just keeping those positions level. And then an additional con would be if you're the type of person that likes to go to certain websites, look at expert analysis, it might make it a little bit more difficult trying to decide between a running back and a wide receiver in a flex spot and what their rankings may look like according to those experts. A few of these charts here, you'll see what the projections and total points scored for each of these positions. On the left-hand side are running backs, and then on the right-hand side are wide receivers. You can see the discrepancy, especially among some of the top running backs and guys like Alvin Kamara, Dalvin Cook, Eric Henry. Those are in the 300-plus range, while wide receivers are all in the twos. And then the same thing goes for guys like Christian McCaffrey, and this was this from the previous? This is from 2019, from last year. So you'll see that the top running backs are scoring at a pretty high margin compared to what wide receivers are.
Yeah, and it's just rewarding that person that basically was at the top of the draft. Because they were at the top of the draft, they're being rewarded for that. Which you can say, yes, they deserve that, or you can say, no, they don't deserve that. I think that if I'm on the back, I deserve to have an equal opportunity. So it just depends on how you want to see it.
Yeah, and then those are just some additional charts from 2018.
Beautiful. All right, James, let's talk about 12-team league.
Yeah, Proposition C is adding 2 more owners to the Manistee Fantasy Football League. And so pros here is, adding 2 more brotherly, neighborly rivalries to the group, taking this back all the way to the carousel days. There's going to be more owners to talk trades with and, start shit with overall, making, fantasy morale even greater. And then with that, the money is going to be, there's going to be a bigger pot for the top 3 winners and, more pride and respect with that as well. Looking into the cons of the 12-team leagues, it's going to be hard to find replacements overall in case someone leaves. We don't really know how engaging the new owners will be because we're a pretty active group, and we're pretty much on the boards daily overall. The starting player pool will be less talented because with 12 teams, with ideally, I think we mentioned 16 players on a roster. Those teams can spread very thin, and the starters could be few and far between. Ideally. And then with that, it kind of puts more teams into the playoff spot as well, which could make, playoffs more exciting or maybe even less exciting. We would have to see. Some neutral arguments here. Free agency depth, I know we talked about this a little bit. It probably will be the same as what we experienced this year. This year we had 200 players owned. So we had 20-man rosters at 10 owners. And then if we do pass this, it would be 192 players, 12 owners by 16 players. So really in terms of that free agency argument, it probably will be relatively compared to this year, which I don't think it was too bad. But we always say, with 12 or more teams, you're going to get to third string and fourth string, people on your bench. And I mean, that's not fun at all, but it looks like it's going to be relatively the same.
Right on. And for those of you that are not part of our neighborhood, it would be Ryan and Scott. So Ryan is Justin's brother, and Scott is Kevin is Scott's brother. So they would just have 2 more brothers in the league potentially. The last one, Keeper League. Keeper League, basically you would be able to keep 1 or 2 players pending. If we pass this, we can vote on how many we would say that we would keep. From there, with the keeper, you would say if this was a 6th rounder last year, for example, Justin selected, I think, DK Metcalf in the 5th round. Great pick, Justin. You didn't win the championship. The next year, you would get DK Metcalf. Basically, you wouldn't have a 4th round draft pick. So this rewards owners for their prior drafts in comparison to saying, well, you had one good year. Another beautiful part about this is we can kind of stay engaged with each other throughout the year. Once fantasy ends, most of you guys I typically don't talk to, even though I would love to. But this is our great way to kind of keep us in touch. Entertainment value. With this way, we can make this even fun. we could say that you get one keeper, fantastic. Justin, for example, could select DK, Jefferson, and Henry as his potential keeper candidates. From there, we would like make a show out of it where like 2 weeks before the draft, we would select one of those names out of a hat to show who Justin got as his keeper. And you might not have the ability to have DK or Jefferson. You might have DK and Joe Mixon, or DK and Andy Dalton, if you really wanted to keep Andy Dalton. It's a little bit more strategic with trades and just future thinking while drafting. I mean, you have to think about these players' age. You have to think about running backs, about how they are not going to probably stay on a team as long in comparison to a wide receiver, when wide receivers typically stay with a team for years and years to come, and they don't get as injured as running backs do. So this could kind of tighten that gap of wide receiver to running back that we were talking about before. And I think that's all for the pros that we have. Cons, we really don't have many outside of this devalues the draft, and we want the draft to be the best day of the year, which it is. It's Christmas for us. If you do have any other comments, James, Justin, and I, we looked over all of these and put like pretty much our opinions on all of them. We can't think of many, but if you do think of any, put them in the sleeper chat, put them in Facebook, talk about it with your friend. We would love to hear them. All right, back to Justin.
All right, so this is Proposition E in converting to one division, getting rid of the current two-division format that we have. So some of the pros of these is that the top 5 records, no matter what, would advance to the playoffs. So this would be that, the hypothetical playoff change of top 5 records, 6th playoff spot would go to the most points for. In the past, we've had teams that might finish 4-9 or 5-8 make it into the playoffs over somebody that might be 6-7 but finished 4th in the other division. And then there would be no more lopsided divisions, as I had mentioned, with several teams finishing at the top in terms of a record, and then rewarding points for would be one way to truly see what team is better than others and giving them a chance to make it into the playoffs if for some reason they kind of got screwed out with their record. Some of the cons would be there's less rivalries. So sometimes it makes it fun when you're going up against 1 or 2 players that are in the same division with you, and you're playing them multiple times per year, and those games really make a difference to try and catch them in the division race. It breaks from the history of the Stars versus the Legends division, and that kind of goes along with the next one, which is division versus division bets. So happy the other division is going to have to go through with their bet, I believe, of dyeing their hair for the draft for next year. So we wouldn't be able to do things like that. And then rewarding the best record, it would be kind of getting rid of rather than doing it the other way. So, if you have several people that are, at 9-4 or something, it might kind of change things up.
Right on. And the last one, James, you can talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, this proposition is already kind of in place, but it's going forward, our draft positions will be picked by the position you came in. It's going to be the same as, coming in first. So in this case, since I won the loser's bracket, I theoretically would have the first pick. In this case, I would get to choose where I want to be in the draft. And then from that order, it goes down the line. And then with that, the days leading up to the draft, we can announce where our draft picks will be. So in this case, for example, on August 27th, I'll reveal whatever draft pick I want, and then David would do his the next day, and then so on and so forth. But I'll just reveal it today. I want pick number 1.
Whoa.
Just so it's off my chest. I don't know if I can wait 8 months to reveal that.
All right. Well, I think we have everything here. The only one that I just realized that I don't have on here is bumping up the money to $100. We talked about this last year. We'll just call that Prop Z or Prop Dollar, whatever you want to consider it.
Prop dollar.
Prop Dollar, y'all. Where we would just bump everything up to $100, and then we would have to debate on how we would split out the money. That could go to end of the year. Whoever the big winner is, it could go to points for. It really, I like Justin's idea of it. I'm just saying that you reward the top 3 players. But if you have other ideas, I would love to hear them. I think that's all we have for you guys today. James, Justin, thank you as always. And Fantasy owners, we will see you into the new year.
Dollar bills, y'all.
Right on. Later, y'all. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be doing a little bit. I'm going to need some participation. We have David, James, and Justin here. Scott just won the Fantasy Championship. Congrats to Scott Tannehill for like a 50-yard run. That's 2 for Scott. Since when was his last one? 2017?
16.
16, sure. Why not? So the questions we have are going to be all related to next year. And we're going to get answers from each and every individual owner. First question, we'll ask David, and then we'll go to James, and then Justin. David, what player do you think will be overdrafted for 2021? My opinion would be somebody like David Montgomery. I think he'll be massively overdrafted. Who do you think, David?
Lamar Jackson.
Again?
Are you talking about for next season?
Yes.
Next season, I would probably say, because I think he's still going to get drafted high, is going to be either Zeke or Saquon.
What position would you draft Zeke at?
Early second, late first, maybe.
All right.
Maybe. I mean, I think that's pushing it.
Jim Jam, Flim Flam, James.
I think James Robinson will be overdrafted.
James Robinson. Where would you select him at?
I'd say mid to late second round.
I'd probably do 3rd round on him. But yeah, all right. Justin?
I'm also going to go with David Montgomery. He was on my team this year, and I saw how shitty he was. The only reason he played well the last 4 weeks is because he went up against really poor rush defenses. And when the Bears went up against good teams, he struggled. So that's the only reason why his stats appear to be so good.
I'm calling it right now that David Montgomery is probably going to get selected in the same exact spot that Joe Mixon was selected in this year at the end of the 1st round, early 2nd round, and he will not deliver. Calling it now. It's a hot take. All right. Now, next question. Back to David for this one to start. What sophomore player are you most intrigued in for like next year? Sophomore.
CH.
Clyde Edwards. Okay. Jim Jam.
I'd probably say the same, depending on what they do with all their running backs. I feel like they always have like 3 or 4 like mediocre running backs that they switch on and off between. But I'd probably go.
I feel like they're going to keep building on CH, though. I think he's got a lot of room to grow.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess probably Justin Herbert or Justin Jefferson, because their names are Justin, but also because from a fantasy perspective, I mean, they had 2 of the more successful rookie seasons.
I would say Jonathan Taylor or CeeDee Lamb would probably be my 2. I think that CD would take over the number 1 spot in Dallas if Dak comes back pending free agency. And Jonathan Taylor, I think, is going to get hyped up to be I think he's going to be drafted in the 1st round next year, without a doubt in my mind.
Taylor?
Yep. The way that he ended his season and the way that he took over the backfield, I think with their offensive line that they're going to hype the projections on him massively next year. Alrighty. We're going to play a little bit of a game. We were kind of already doing it, but this is the final segment of this. This is going to be where you guys kind of all respond roughly around the same time. I'll do a countdown, and you'll say what round that you would draft that player in. So the first player, just think about where you would draft him at, and then I'll do a countdown, and then you would say, I would draft him 3rd round, like 3rd middle, or you could say 3-5, 3-7, 4-7. Just say a number, round, and then what draft pick roughly you would select them at. So for the first player, Tyler Lockett, think about it. Let me know once you're ready. Ready?
Oof.
David's ready.
I'm ready.
Justin's ready. James?
Yep.
Okay. On go. We're going to do a 3, 2, 1, go. So 3, 2, 1, go.
6th late.
Okay.
Seventh middle.
I was gonna say 5th middle.
I would do 6th round right at the beginning. All right. That's the first one. James, you actually already answered this one, but we'll do it again. James Robinson. Think about it. Let it waft. Got it? Cool. 3, 2, 1, go.
4th round
Second.
early.
I would do 3, 1.
2nd late.
And then James, where were you at? Second round, you said?
2nd mid to late.
Okay.
So like 2-6, I guess.
This is a fun one. Julio Jones. Because, I mean, would you select Ridley over him? First off, let's just ask that question. Would you select Ridley
Yes.
over Julio?
Yes,
I
without
would.
question.
I'm 100%
Yes.
Yeah.
He's starting to get into that category of people that have contracts that are bigger than what they're performing on the field. I don't
Great.
like
and he'll
people
have
like
his
that.
moments. All right. So, do you have
When he
a
plays.
round, though? Do you have a round that you think you would pick him in? All right. Everybody good?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go. Mid
5th late.
Mid 8th.
I was gonna say early 8th.
Mid 5th.
Late 5th.
Ooh. Okay. I'm torn between. I'll let you guys choose on this. We can do OBJ, or we can do Zeke. Which one do you guys want to do? OBJ.
To Zeke.
Zeke. Okay, we'll do Zeke. Ooh. Okay, I got mine.
Oh my. Oh, we dropped it.
You guys ready?
Yep.
All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
Early 2nd.
I would do
Late
Mid
2nd.
early 3rd. I had him this year, and it was just a big disappointment. I should have picked Kamara.
I think
You
if
think that's more
if
personal
Dak
thing?
didn't get hurt, then He would-
Agreed.
Yeah, that's
Better.
the hard thing is without Dak, it's really hard to predict the Cowboys.
I feel like he personally scarred you, so you don't want to pick him early. And I know we all have those players like
Everyone
that.
has that bias. That's why I won't do it. So, all right, that's all we have for today. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining. And then this will be our last show of the year. So, enjoy your off season.